There's a point where you stop texting, you stop calling, you stop chasing, and suddenly, her silence doesn't feel like distance anymore. It feels like an echo. At first, you might convince yourself she's fine, that she didn't care in the first place. But wait. Because when a man walks away without looking back, something shifts deep inside a woman. It's in your disappearance that she feels the weight of your presence. Your voice, the one that once brought calm, is gone. Your energy, the one that once steadied her storms, has disappeared, and now she's left with a question that haunts her. Did he matter more than I was willing to admit? See, women don't always realize what they had in the moment. They're not logical processors, they're emotional ones. And emotions don't hit instantly, they simmer, they stew in silence. She might seem unbothered, posting selfies, laughing with friends, pretending life never skipped a beat. But when night falls, when the music stops and she's alone with her thoughts, that's when the replay begins. Your tone, your words, your energy, it all comes flooding back. And here's where most men fail. They come back too soon. They break their silence, not from power but from panic. They act on impulse instead of intention. But when you remain steady, when you hold your ground, when your silence comes from strength, not spite, you flip the dynamic completely. Because here's what most men don't realize. When a woman feels a man, feels his depth, his calm, his masculine certainty, his absence becomes a mirror. And eventually she's forced to look into it, and what she sees surprises her. When you stop chasing, the last interaction you had with her starts to loop in her mind. Not the words themselves, but the emotional tone beneath them. Was he calm? Was he angry? Was he still trying to prove something? Or was he simply done? That last conversation becomes the soundtrack of her overthinking, and depending on how grounded you were, it either brings her peace or drives her mad. Most men think women forget. They don't, especially not when feelings were involved. She might move on externally. She might even date someone new. But if you carried dignity in your last words, if you walked away with calm and clarity, she's not just remembering what you said, she's remembering how you made her feel. And if that feeling was rare, she'll hold on to it longer than she'll ever admit. You'll notice the subtle changes first. She starts watching your stories, she checks in with mutual friends, she scrolls through old messages, not because she wants to go back, but because your silence has created a mystery. And mystery sparks emotion. But here's the catch. Don't chase, don't explain, don't interrupt the natural unfolding of her thoughts. Because if she ever felt emotionally safe with you, if she ever leaned into your masculine calm, she'll start craving it again, and all you did was vanish quietly. When a woman begins to feel the void you left behind, she doesn't always reach out first. Often, she tries to trigger you, not to hurt you, but to feel something from you. To know, do I still have a hold on him? So she posts a quote meant just for you. She shares a memory she knows will stir you. She drops a picture that's a little more revealing than usual, and she's not doing this by accident. It's intentional. She's not rekindling yet. She's poking, testing, trying to see if you'll flinch. Will you reach out? Will you bite? Will you crack just enough to prove she still matters? Because to her, your reaction is reassurance. Even anger feels like proof you still care. If she can provoke emotion from you, she still owns a piece of you. But here's where your strength gets tested. Can you hold the line? Can you read the signal? Not as a plea for love, but as a confession of inner chaos. Because that's what it is. She doesn't want to say, I miss you. That would make her vulnerable. So instead, she says, I'm fine, with a filter. She posts I'm over it, with a fake smile. She broadcasts strength while crumbling in silence. And if you react, she wins. She resets the game. You're back where you started. But if you stay composed, if you move through life like her, noise doesn't reach your frequency. Something inside her starts to unravel. She begins to question, why isn't he chasing? Why isn't he reacting? Why does he feel so unshakable? And that's when you shift from memory to mystery. Now you're not the man she dated. You're the man she can't figure out. And women don't forget what they can't explain. Some women will escalate from subtle to direct. She may reach out randomly or even rudely, a sarcastic text, a passive-aggressive comment, something that seems harmless but is really her final test. Can I still affect him? Is he still emotionally available to me? And if you react emotionally, you confirm her power. you validate her confusion. But if you remain calm, if you see through the test and don't engage emotionally, she feels something she didn't expect: loss. Not of a man, but of emotional control. And when a woman loses that, she starts to feel the very thing she tried to avoid. Regret. Not through your words, not through confrontation, but through your composure. Sometimes the first thing a woman will do when you go quiet is try to replace you. Not because she's moved on, but because she wants to convince herself she can. She'll go out, she'll post, she'll make it look like she's thriving. But deep down, it's just noise. It's just distraction. It's a mask to cover the echo of your silence. Because when a woman tries to replace a man without healing, she doesn't connect, she compares, she doesn't love, she projects. And eventually, the truth hits her. She's not chasing a new connection. She's chasing relief from the absence of your emotional presence. And here's the beautiful part. You didn't say a word. Because when a man's silence is rooted in peace, not in punishment, it speaks louder than any argument ever could. And in the long run, peace always wins. When you go silent, she begins to feel everything she took for granted. Here's the truth most men never realize. It's not your absence that breaks her. It's your peace, your stillness, your refusal to fight for someone who didn't value what you brought. See, the moment she sees you stop chasing, something shifts. She might play it cool, act unbothered, even parade someone new around like you were just a page she turned. But deep down, she's watching. Not your photos, not your status. She's watching your energy. And when you don't flinch, when you don't react, that's when the panic begins. Because women are emotional readers. When she can't feel your emotional pulse anymore, she starts reaching for signals in the silence. She can't decode stillness. She can't predict calm. And that drives her mad. Most men mess this up. They panic when she moves on. They think her new post, her new guy, her fake laugh is proof she's over them. So they reach out, desperate to reinsert themselves. Big mistake. Because that reaction, that moment of weakness, just hands her validation. It confirms that she still has emotional access. And emotional access is power. But the man who doesn't chase, he sends a different message. A message that says, I'm not here to compete for attention, I am the attention. She starts to notice something uncomfortable. This new guy, he's around, but he doesn't make her feel what you did. He's present, but he lacks presence. He talks, but his words don't hold the weight of yours. And suddenly, you're no longer replaceable. You're irreplaceable. Because what you gave her wasn't just time or affection. It was masculine grounding. It was that rare space where she felt emotionally safe, and maybe for the first time, truly seen. And when that energy disappears, a woman doesn't just miss you. She misses the version of herself she could only be around you. So yes, she might act like she's fine. She'll post her pictures, she'll hang out with people, she'll laugh extra loud, smile extra wide. But it's all noise. Because late at night, when the phone goes dark and the noise fades, that's when your silence becomes deafening. That's when your absence starts to haunt her. And here's where it gets powerful. If you hold the line, if you stay silent, not from anger but from self-respect, she begins to feel it. Not immediately. It builds, slowly, quietly, like a storm on the horizon. One day she catches herself thinking about that one night, that one conversation, that laugh you had, that pause in your voice before you said something real. And suddenly a wave of emotion hits her. Not because you messaged her, not because you proved anything, but because you didn't. That's when the mind starts romanticizing the memories. Not the fights, not the frustrations, but the parts where she felt something deeper. The night you stayed up talking until 3 a.m. The way your voice calmed her in chaos. The way you looked at her like she mattered in a world that constantly made her feel replaceable. That's what memory does. It polishes. It edits. It softens the rough edges and amplifies the moments that mattered. And now she's sitting there wondering, why did I let that go? She might not admit it out loud. She might not send that text. But you'll know. You'll feel the shift. She'll start watching your stories. She'll react to things she once ignored. She'll find the most casual excuse to break the silence. Hey, saw something that reminded me of you. Just checking in. Hope you're well. A meme. A quote. A throwback. Don't take the bait. That's not her coming back. That's her testing the door. She's not wondering if you still care. She's wondering if you still care enough to drop everything and come running. And if you do, game over. You reset the dynamic. You become predictable again. And mystery dies where desperation begins. But if you stay composed, if you respond with calm energy, measured tone, and zero emotional neediness, she starts to see you differently. You're not the man who used to need her. You're the man who's learned how to need himself. You're building. You're focused. You're unavailable, not to punish her, but to honor yourself. That's the shift. When your silence comes from peace, not punishment, it holds power. It becomes presence. It lives in her mind rent-free. She may try to replace you. She may even succeed temporarily, but she'll realize soon enough, she's not searching for love. She's searching for relief from the absence you left behind, and the deeper she runs from that, the more exhausted she becomes. Until finally, she cracks. Not loudly, not with an apology, but quietly, humbly, with a question that masks 1,000 regrets. And if you've done the work, if you've stayed grounded and grown in that silence, you won't need to say much, because your energy now says everything. You're no longer available to the version of her that needed you to prove yourself. You're only available to the version of her that understands your value. And if she's not there yet, you keep walking. Because sometimes the greatest act of love is leaving the space for someone to grow into who they need to be. And if they don't, you don't lose. You evolve.